Hi there, listener, and welcome to this Ski Podcast special interview with Jim Adlington. He is the founder of the UK snow sports brand Planks, and in this interview we talk about how he got into skiing from the Renegade race team at Kidsgrove Slope in Stoke via Chamonix and Courchevel to Val d'Isère, how he became a sponsored rider for Salomon, and how he moved on to setting up Planks itself and their recent very successful crowdfunding campaign. A quick note, Jim is a very busy man. He was in his van when I spoke to him. There's a couple of clicks on the line, which I apologise for, but I think it still comes across really well. So do enjoy this Ski Podcast special interview with Jim Adlington. So I'm delighted to be joined by Jim Adlington today, founder of the British snow sports brand Planks Clothing. Hi, Jim. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast. I can ask where we're speaking to you today?
Hi mate, how are you? I'm currently in France. I'm sat on a Chambéry hospital car park of all places.
Okay, right. I didn't realise you were out in France. Where are you basing yourself just now?
Currently, I'm based in Val d'Isère. I've been there since October this year, and yeah, usually now my routine is 6 months in Val d'Isère and 6 months in the office in Manchester.
Right. Okay, but I guess this has obviously been a weird winter for everyone, and I think probably most of our listeners will be familiar with the brand Planks Clothing. I think we'll get on to when you started the brand, but I'd really like to just go a little bit back because we first met each other a long time ago, and I think it was probably around where it all started for you, which was back in Stoke, wasn't it? Is that where you learnt to ski?
Yeah, I think we probably met in '98, somewhere like that. It was just when I'd started sponsorship with Salomon. But yeah, before that, my journey started at Kidsgrove Dry Slope. So 9 years old. Just going to the dry slope was my first introduction to skiing.
It's so interesting how so many people start off like that. I talked to Pat Sharples not so long ago, and I'll mention him again, but he obviously started off over in Rosendale, and there's so many other people like Woodsy started off at Sheffield, etc. And I think that was quite a nice sort of community feel, the way that slope worked down there.
Yeah, I think the UK has a really strong dry slope scene. And I think it's good, the fact that, a lot of good skiers are coming out of the dry slope and the dry slope scene, especially now. But back in the day, it was the only place, I had access to at the very beginning. Didn't really have the opportunity to go out on snow or no kind of, no family circle that was into skiing. So we lived about 5 minutes from a local, dry slope, council run dry slope. And just got involved that way, really. And it was, I think when we started, it was like 40 meters long with a little rope tow, so really small.
Right.
And it was all like old kit, and it was all council run, so it was all like really old and kind of not really that much fun. But I absolutely loved it, and kind of started off going down there was a club there. Few years after a local guy set a ski club up there, and they kind of expanded and got bigger and bigger. So yeah, just kind of going down there a lot every night really before I kind of got introduced to snow. And it was ran by a guy called Chris Poole, and he used to look after all the local kids that were hanging around, and started off Kidsgrove Ski Club. And that was the start of me getting introduced into the ski scene, really.
So from there then you decided that you needed to get a bit actual proper snow and went out to the mountains. You did a few seasons.
Yeah, so we did 1 or 2 ski trips, because we got into the dry slope racing scene. So we used to travel around the country going to races. But we were always the renegade kids. We didn't have any money, or we didn't have any proper kit. We used to make our race pads out of drain pipes and used to cut down a plastic drain pipe and then strap it onto us, and used to turn it in an old bus, an old parcel bus, and everyone just thought we were like, gypsies, really. And everyone used to laugh at us because we were on like all old kit, and none of us really knew what we were doing. And the team actually used to do quite well. But the guy that ran it was so into like off-piste skiing. And instead of us going like on a race trip, he used to take us over to Chamonix. So my first experience of snow was going on the Grand Montée. Basically, we went over to Chamonix for a week, and instead of doing any race training, he used to take us and ski off piste, because at that time we were all addicted to the Blizzard of Oz. I don't know whether people know the Blizzard of Oz, but
I'm sure they will. Yeah.
Yeah, it was one of the main reasons why a lot of people like headed over to the Alps, especially Chamonix at that time during it was 1988 and then early 90s really. So yeah, we used to go. We did a couple of ski trips to Chamonix, and then when I was 17, I kind of got a job and decided I was gonna give up life in the UK and move over to France, and I got a job just washing dishes for a ski company. It was Skibound back in the day. And yeah, went out to Courchevel for my first season and absolutely loved it. It was like the transition from going from a dry slope to then going to snow. I skied on a dry slope for maybe 15 years and then went out onto snow, and it was just like, this is easy, this is so much fun, and got addicted then really. That was when it really started.
For sure. And you said you were a washer upper, and I think, I did a few seasons, and although you don't get paid that much as a plongeur, it's one of the best jobs in the Alps, isn't it? Because you have no responsibility. Once your job's done, you're out there and you can get on the snow, right?
Yeah, definitely. And that was one of the main reasons for me taking it. Plus, I don't think I would have got a job doing anything else with my qualifications. I left school with nothing really, apart from being pretty good at skiing. So I could wash dishes, and just literally used to work, a little bit in the morning, and then in the evening used to ski all day. And it was the dream job for a 17-year-old. And yeah, no responsibility really. Not much has changed really, Ian, at the moment.
Well, yeah, you say that. We'll come on to that and see how that does change. But you ended up going over to Val d'Isère. I mentioned I chatted to Pat Sharples a little while ago. There's a ski podcast special about that. He actually started in Courchevel as well, and I think you kind of had a sort of similar path, because that kind of early phase of free skiers. I think you had like maybe Dave Young in Teen and Jamie Strachan in Chamonix, and it was the skis that made things change. And I know you've told me before about how you first ever saw, these Salomon 1080s and the difference it made to your life. Were they not like in the ski room in your hotel or something like that?
Yeah, so it was the second season I did in Val d'Isère, and they did a press week right early on. And Eric Davis, who was the managing director of Salomon at the time, came out, and it was the launch of the 1080. So the 1080 was launching the year after. At the time, I was like heavily into snowboarding as well. I snowboarded quite a lot on the dry slope, and was snowboarding and skiing at the same time. But skiing way much more once I'd gone to the snow. And yeah, just was hanging out with all the snowboarders in resort, and kind of, it was just at the early days of skiers getting into the snowboard park and trying to do the same kind of tricks, but the equipment hadn't changed. So we were still on Salomon, like 210s, like really big straight skis. Yeah. And trying to do all these tricks and ski the terrain that the snowboarders were doing, and it was impossible really. And then the moment of going down to the boot room in the evening and opening up this bag and seeing the Salomon 1080 for the first time, and the whole Canadian Air Force was happening at that time as well. So watching the footage come in from Canada and America, and there was a really like big change happening, right? And then that ski just changed everything. So getting I literally badgered Eric for a whole week, just saying, "You've got to give me this pair of skis." And he got so sick of me by the end of the week, he ended up leaving me them. So yeah, a bit of hustle got me onto the Salomon team, and yeah, kind of everything changed from there for me, really.
And were you working with photographers, because you ended up doing quite a few photo shoots and things like that? I mean, how did you use those skis?
So Eric's remit was, we'll give you some skis, and if you do, get a load of photos, and if you do a good job, then you can go on the team. So he kind of set me a bit of a task. So then I went off and worked with the UNEX back in the day, and then ended up meeting Ross Woodhall, which is someone people know, and yeah, just going around getting as many photos as possible. Then a year later, I actually got a proper deal with Salomon, and worked with Ross a lot, and we went, and Salomon as well. We went all over the world doing photo shoots and going to great places to ski. And
so you ended up traveling around, with the team, with photographers, doing videos, etc. That sounds like the life.
Yeah, it was. I was very fortunate to get involved, and Pat was on the team as well. So I'd known Pat from a very long time from the Dry Slope, met him out in Courchevel as well. So we kind of became teammates at the time, and we used to travel around doing demos and going to photo shoots. And it was kind of surreal, really. It was just like a bit of a rock star lifestyle at one point, and yeah, getting paid to go around the world skiing for me coming from Stoke was just amazing, really.
So it does sound like a dream come true, but I guess for every kind of professional sports person, that section always comes to an end. And I'd met you in Val d'Isère, and met you on different events and things like this. And I remember you saying to me, I don't know the exact year, but I was working for Natives at the time, and you saying to me, "Yeah, I'm going to start this brand, and it's going to be called Planks. And in the first year, we're just going to do hats, and we're just going to have hats in Val d'Isère." And I thought, right, okay, we'll see how this goes. But is that, am I misremembering that, or did that really happen?
No, like that? Everyone thought I was mental, really, but that kind of came from, what I was really grateful for was Salomon gave me an opportunity to kind of learn the industry. So in between ski seasons, I was working at the head office in Basingstoke and learning, about the industry in the UK, and going on demos and working with the reps to go around the store. So I learned quite a lot about the ski industry at that time. And then in the summers from ski seasons, I used to go and work down in Cornwall and work in a surf shop. So I got a lot of contact with all the surf reps and people starting little cottage brands down there. And I'd always had a bit of a flair for being creative. At school, I was only really ever good at art and sport. So I'd kind of always had this bit of an idea that I'd like to start a bit of a brand, because a couple of my mates in Cornwall had started little like cottage industry brands, almost just screen printing t-shirts. So I'd seen people actually like do it. So I didn't really think, it wasn't that hard, really. So yeah, just had a bit of an idea coming to it at the end of my skiing career, and just decided, what, we'll start a little ski brand, because there was no like ski brand for skiers really at the time. Everyone was wearing like snowboard brands, and obviously there were a few like in America, but no real British ones, just aimed at free skiing. So I was like, well, let's start something, and how hard can it be, really? And never really realised what I was actually, the mountain I was just about to climb, really. And yeah, it's been an incredible journey to where we are now. From that start.
You must have been very, very patient, starting it off like that, and not overcommitting yourself. And I personally thought, from a branding point of view, it was really clever the way you got the brand seeded out there. And it was, the season workers were all wearing it first, and people knew Planks, very much, on that level. And as you say, no one was really providing clothing for freestyle skiers, loads of snowboard stuff. But one of the things that, has always struck me about Planks is that drop cliffs, not bombs, is just such a brilliant line. Where did that one come from? How did that come to you?
I actually think I saw it written on a wall, like in a somewhere in a ski resort, like just penciled somewhere.
Yeah,
And it
so a
was
bit of graffiti.
Yeah, a bit of graffiti, and it was kind of like a saying that we were kind of like throwing around at the time as a bit of fun, like a bit of a slogan. And then it just kind of made sense to kind of like own it with planks, really. It was just one of those sayings that we were kind of like throwing about, right? And that was the tagline to the brand. And it's kind of stayed ever since, really. Like we dip in and out to how much we use it. But yeah, it's definitely a strong slogan. But the identity of the brand was, was a ski company, and I think the name, I was a little bit unsure about the name. I had more names like knocking around at the time when we were doing it. But the idea was to start a ski brand, and that's had its like pros and cons as well, really. But I think the identity, people actually straight away know it's a ski brand, and that's what we wanted to achieve, or I wanted to achieve back in the day, really.
Yeah, well,
like
I mean, that certainly came across really strong, and in fact, one of your first, maybe, I don't know if it's your most successful T-shirts, but it's the skier T-shirt, right? Was one of the first ones.
Yeah, we kind of took a bit of inspiration from Line. I'm a skier T-shirt that they did, and we just thought like having that like identity, because skiers didn't, the freestyle ski scene was just gaining its its identity at that point. It was kind of transitioning from everyone in snowboard kit, and it was kind of like it really worked at the time. And yeah, there's been many kind of like slogans that have identified the brand.
Yeah, and another key part of the brand that that Planks is known for is sustainability. I don't know all of the details, but I'm pretty sure that you use a lot of kind of recycled yarn from plastic bottles. A lot of the products are made from that, and certain fabrics, etc. What point did you decide that you were going to go down that route?
Well, really, kind of all started from the word sustainability. Kind of the way we started the brand was really grassroots and DIY, right? So the kind of collections we used to do, I used to rock up to a mate's who had a printing shop in Bristol and literally just take all his overstock. So any kind of T-shirts and hoodies that he had on a big order, and they were just sat in the stock room that were kind of like just sat there doing stuff. And I kind of started the brand that way. So it was already in my kind of blood to want to do this, like this upcycling kind of thing a little bit from the start, right? And we always kind of like, I did a lot of the hand printing myself. All the kind of original labels were, hand printed. And then as we got into moving from that to production, the kind of thought of how we're going to make this like eco-friendly and sustainable, we just didn't know. Like there was no kind of information. Like back then, like talking about organic cotton, it was like, well, how do we get the factories? And just getting a factory to do a normal T-shirt for us was hard enough because we did everything ourselves. So we kind of diverted a tiny bit because we just wanted to get the brand out there. And then it was probably about 5 years into starting the company when we did get to a stage where we had the finance and experience and kind of more contacts to actually get the more sustainable fabrics off the ground, really. So yeah, we switched everything to using a company called Repreve, which is like a traceable yarn supplier.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the majority of our products now are all made out of recycled fabric. So it's Repreve basically, it's the yarn.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like you're well ahead of the curve on that, and because it's become so much more, I think, important to consumers, and particularly the consumers in your market as well, which should, typically be a younger market. I know it might have changed a little bit recently, but things have obviously changed a lot because I think 2008 when Planks was founded? Is that right?
Yeah, around about there.
Yeah,
like we started like I said, we started so grassroots, and everything that we earned went back into the company. So me and my business partner, the co-founder Hugh, We've kind of like worked in the summers. Like I'm a plasterer or was a plasterer in the summer to pay for the winters to put money in the business. So we've kind of self-financed it until about 4 years ago, and then we got a proper investment, and that's when we've really like started to grow and turbocharge the business.
Yeah, well, I've seen that growth has been very good, and we'll come on to that. I mean, I saw a few years ago, 2019, in fact, I think it was, you announced a tie-up with GB Snowsports. So you're actually, if I understand this correctly, kitting out a lot of the park and pipe skiers, skier and snowboard cross, some of the para skiers as well. Will we see Planks clothing worn by them at the Winter Olympics?
I don't. Well, it's a bit top secret at the moment because we're just working a few things out. But they do wear our clothes, and alongside a couple of brands as well. I know One Ski sponsor the Mogul team, and we do the Park and Pipe, which is a nice, it's a nice collab to get like a couple of British brands involved with the team, which I think is really cool.
For sure, and obviously James Woodsy Woods. I mean, you've had a signature series for him for quite some time now, haven't you?
Yeah, Woodsy, again, knowing Woodsy back in the day and building a good relationship with him. He started off on planks in the early days, and then we kind of lost him to Quicksilver, which was a bit of a blow, but amazing for his career.
Yeah.
And when the Quicksilver contract ran out, we decided to sit down with him and see if there was a deal to be done. And having Woodsy on the team for us is mind blowing, really. Like, he's such a good asset, and he's, to have one of the best, if not the best skier in the UK, in Europe, and one of the best in the world on our brand, and being a British company is kind of really, really cool for me.
Yeah, well, I really hope, you say it's a top secret, or, we'll find out more, but I hope there is some exposure for Planks at Beijing. But as you said, business is growing fast anyway. I think you've seen kind of growth of around 40% per year for the last few years. Got sales all over the world. Revenue's gone up, and recently you started a crowdfunding campaign. And I had a look at it the other day, and you seem to have smashed your target completely. Yeah, I think you raised maybe like £1 million from that. It must have been an incredible success for you.
We're a little bit short. We're about 40 grand short of $1 million, but we're pretty we're pretty happy, if not blown away by the campaign. It was getting a little bit nerve wracking, having 18 months off not trading because of COVID. Yeah. And the crowdfunding campaign has basically been a necessity to keep us in the game, really, and to get support from investors and people that can see the potential in the brand and didn't want us to fail because of the situation. And that's kind of where we were at. Like, it was really, really scary when the resort closed, not last winter, but the winter before, like 2 months early. And yeah, it's been a real blow for the ski industry. And I think the fact that we're here and we've smashed this campaign just shows that the brand's really strong, and the team that we've got's really capable, and we're definitely resilient.
Well, it is, and I can just tell you purely anecdotally. I was at a friend's house a while ago, and he does ski from time to time, but he's not a member of the ski industry or anything like this. And he said, "Oh, look at this stuff I've just bought." And he is on some crowdfunding mail list. He got the details. He had a look at it. He thought this looks good, and he went out and bought a couple of hoodies and a couple of t-shirts straight away for his kids as well. And I said, "Oh, I know those people. Yeah, you'll probably see them." So that must mean though that you have a lot more security with that money coming in. It's going to enable you to take the next step. What will the next step be for Planks then?
Well. Fingers crossed we're going to have a bit more of a normal winter next year, and I think we've kind of set the target a little bit more reserved, as I want to say, for next season, just because the total unknown again, really. So we're kind of just battening down and having a winter where we can just get through again and be safe. And then the growth will come the year after, I guess. But basically, we just want to build really good products do a lot for the ski industry, make sure that what we do is right for manufacturing and the environment as much as you can do in an industry like ours, and just kind of help promote British skiing and skiing worldwide, really. And I think having a brand, you've not just got a responsibility for making great product, but a responsibility for promoting what you do, really. And I think that's been a big part of the brand, and that's mainly because of just the journey that me and my friends have been on, really, like people like Pat. And kind of like the ski industry is a real place that can grow lots of different things, right? So kind of supporting different people in different communities is kind of just as important as making great product for the brand, really.
Well, I wish you all the best with that, because it's been an incredible journey so far. Like you were talking about going from 1990s skiing in Stoke to Courchevel, Val d'Isère, being a plunger and now running a business, multi-million-pound business in the Alps, which is a British business, with British athletes wearing it. So, well done to you, Jim. And, I've really enjoyed having a chat with you about it.
Thank you very, very much.
Hi listener, thanks for taking the time to listen to this podcast special. I just wanted to let you know that if you enjoyed it, you can buy me a cuppa at buymeacoffee.com/the ski podcast. All contributions are always very welcome. Thank you very much.